All right, hello everybody, and welcome to another episode of Monday Motivation. It is always my pleasure to have these conversations with you because hopefully you find them helpful and educational. Right? I don't just mean for these to be motivational, I mean for them to be educational. I want you to learn something about your process because the more you know, guess what? When your mind expands, you will never go back. So part of the long-term process of getting permanent results is becoming a student. You got to become a student. So I try to help to facilitate that by having these Monday motivations be something about your process, something that you need to know about that ultimately is going to help you along your journey, right? So today we're going to talk about why your hormones are responsible for long-term weight loss, right? Most people think about weight loss, they think about diet and exercise. That's where they go. They think about what's the best diet to lose weight. And well, guess what? There is no best diet to lose weight. Any diet will help you to lose weight because anytime you change up what you're doing and either eat fewer calories or, different strategies usually help you to lose weight. So yes, you can lose weight by calorie deprivation. You can lose weight by any method out there. I've got one client told me that he was using the cookie diet, right? He refused to do anything I asked him to do because he's doing the cookie diet. He wants to lose the weight doing the cookie diet. And then he wants to come back to me to help him to build muscles, right? And believe me, that was a couple months ago. So it wasn't that long ago. So you see, you can lose weight doing any manner of foolishness. Remember the cabbage diet? You can lose weight. They are calorie deprivation. Anytime you deprive your body, eventually you're going to lose weight because what's your body doing? Your body is just starving itself to death because you're dying, in other words, right? You eat less than your basal metabolic rate regularly, your body is dying because it just ends up feeding on itself. Your muscle tissue is made up of water and protein. So your body will just end up feeding on your muscle tissue. So at the end of your diet, right, whatever you're on, whatever calorie deprivation you're on, you end up having more body fat than when you started. Why? Because now you've got less muscle tissue and you've got more body fat. So you end up worse than when you start. Do you see why most people regain the weight? So let's talk about the real factor behind long-term weight loss. The real factor behind long-term weight loss is your hormones. So you need to be thinking about three things: your metabolism, your hormones, and your brain. Those are the three things that work together to facilitate long-term weight loss. So when we start, I tell you that, well, I'm going to have you eat balanced meals. I'm going to have you eat balanced meals because when you eat balanced meals will help to balance your blood sugar. It slows down the process of food getting into your blood, right? So when you eat simple carbs, it goes right to your bloodstream. Watermelon, your body will process that in about 20 minutes. Right? When you eat more complex stuff like fibrous veggies, well, that's going to take longer because your body has to process the fiber. It has to extract the nutrients from the fiber, and some of that fiber is digestible and some of it is not, so it has to get rid of that. So the digestive process slows down. When you eat complex starchy carbs, well, guess what? The fiber slows down the digestive process. So now you put all of this together, right? You're having some fibrous veggies. You're having some starchy carbs, complex carbohydrates, right? Because your body has to break them down. You add some protein to that. Now that's a very complicated process because your body has to break down those amino acids, right? It has to break down that protein into its building blocks, amino acids. Now you add some fat to that meal. Whoa, now we're getting really complicated because your body has to break down that fat into fatty acids. And each of these processes take a different pathway in the body, right? So the combination of all of this is going to slow down the digestive process. It's going to have that sugar trickle into your blood instead of flowing into your blood. And that's what you want. That's how you keep your blood sugar stable and you have energy over a longer period of time. This is a process. So just know that when we ask you to balance your meals, there's a method to the madness. There's a reason. You're balancing your blood sugar. And over time of keeping your blood sugar stable, guess what? Your hormones start to work better. Because think about what overuse syndrome is, right? You have a lot of people with fibromyalgia, which is just overuse of your joints. You sit around and you type all day long for 20, 30 years. You will develop, some chronic arthritis and fibromyalgia from overuse syndrome. Muscles that get overused. Well, it's the same thing with your body, right? If you're skipping meals, if you're eating simple sugar stuff that your body has to, you're having an insulin response because your blood sugar spikes and your body secretes insulin to get all that sugar out of your blood. Guess what? You're doing that repeatedly, day after day, week after week, month after month, year after year, decades after decades. Can you see why your hormones stop functioning the way they need to? It's called overuse syndrome. Eventually they just give up, right? Because you're working them too much and they just stop doing what they're supposed to. So even though your body can produce insulin in case of type 2 diabetes, you just can't really use it, right? Because that insulin system isn't working the way it should. It's a lock and key, right? Your body can produce, insulin is a key, but that lock isn't turning. If that lock is jammed, well, guess what? It can't function. So that is the process of, developing insulin resistance in diabetes in a lot of people. And it comes about based on how you eat and what you've been eating over the years, right? So that's why we eat balanced meals. Over time, your blood sugar will start to be balanced. Your hormones will start to function the way they're designed to function because you're not having all the insulin spike. And what's happening when you have insulin spike? Well, guess what? Your hormones never work individually. Insulin works with glucagon. You have the other metabolic hormones, ghrelin and leptin, they all work together. So when one is out of whack, they all go out of whack, right? It isn't unusual for the thyroid hormones to be out of whack as well. And when you start to balance your meal, eat balanced meals consistently, guess what? You start to balance your blood sugar. You start to balance your hormones. So over time, folks, you'll see that as your blood sugar stays stable over time, and your hormones start working, your blood sugar will start to drop. Yes, your blood sugar will start to drop. And you'll see that your A1C will start to go down. This is how I teach my clients who are dealing with diabetes and other blood sugar issues. This is how we get their blood sugar to drop. Right? Very simple, isn't it? Eating the right foods, balanced meals over time. It isn't unusual for my clients to tell me that, hey, my blood sugar has dropped an entire point in a few months. Or my blood sugar has gone from, the high 8s down to 6 point something in just a few months. Isn't it unusual for my clients to say my blood sugar has gone from the 12s down to the 9s and then from the 9s down to 6 and then they go from pre-diabetic to normal? That isn't unusual. Why? Because you're feeding the body the way it's supposed to be fed. So just know that the same process I use with my clients to reduce their blood sugar is the exact same process we use for weight loss. Why? Because blood sugar and fat loss are inescapably tied together. They're both controlled by your hormones, right? So the same way you eat to reduce your blood sugar is the same way you eat for fat loss, long-term fat loss. So when you get in the habit of stabilizing your blood sugar, guess what? Your hormones start to function better. Your blood sugar drops. And guess what? You put your body in a better fat-burning situation, and that is what you want. Now let's talk about the next piece of the puzzle is eating consistent meals, because that happens to be one of the other most important things. When you eat consistent meals, well, you're also balancing your blood sugar. When you're eating 1 or 2 meals a day, okay, you eat and then, okay, you go a long period without eating, well, guess what? You're at a blood sugar low and your body's just slowing down. So the next time you eat, 6-7 hours later, now you're having a sugar spike. That means an insulin spike. And you'll see that blood sugar and insulin They go hand in hand. One goes up, the other goes up. One goes down, the other goes down. And what you eat also affects your blood sugar. It affects your hormones, right? So the two things that you need to be focused on is balancing your meals and eating consistent meals over the course of the day. That is what's going to not only balance your hormones, balance your blood sugar, it's also going to optimize your metabolism, folks. It will optimize your metabolism because when your body has to work to break down complex meals, that's what your metabolism is. How much calories your body has to burn over the course of the day just to do the things you normally do. Eating complex meals consistently over the course of the day, you have that be your habit. That is your metabolism being optimized, in addition to getting more active so that your body has to burn more calories to feed your working muscles. You see how this all works together? So there's a method to the madness. There's a reason why we recommend that you do all the things you do, and it starts with balancing your hormones and optimizing your blood sugar. And then we start working on that hormone-brain, that blood-brain barrier communication. So also know that your brain is pulled into it because your brain controls your hormones, right? And your hormones control your blood sugar, and fat loss is tied to your blood sugar. Why is fat loss tied to your blood sugar? Because you see, insulin is an anabolic hormone, right? It's a storage hormone. So that signal prevents your body from tapping into your fat for energy. Whenever your body has to secrete insulin, then fat storage increases, fat burning goes down the tube. So if you want to achieve long-term fat loss, then you want to keep your insulin levels low as possible. You want to keep that consistent so that your body can mobilize your body fat storage as energy. Otherwise, if you're having constant insulin spikes, you will never be burning fat on a consistent basis. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. I hope you get that, because that is important. Here's another thing that's important. You know, we talk about eating the right foods in the right amounts at the right time. The right time is very important, right? The right time for carbohydrates, it's not just a thing we pull out of our thin air, right? Research shows that when you eat high carbohydrate meals in the evening or at night, well, guess what? It increases your risk for diabetes, for heart disease, for premature death, increases your chances of being overweight dramatically. And, you know, there's a study published several years ago in the British Nutrition Journal of Nutrition that showed that demonstrated that shift workers that had a high carbohydrate meal late in the evening and at night had a higher risk for all of these, obesity, heart disease, diabetes, than eating that very same meal earlier in the day, right? You're eating high carbohydrate meal later and at night, you have a higher risk for obesity, heart disease, diabetes than eating that same meal earlier in the day. Why? It's very simple. You tend not to be as active later in the day. You're more active during the day, so you're going to burn up more calories. Later in the day, your body's going to store more calories. Well, the more fat your body stores, well, that increases your risks. So there's a method to the madness. There's a reason why I recommend that you keep those starchy carbs earlier in the day. So here's the takeaway from all of this. I know it's a lot. This is a little longer than I wanted, but I just want you to have the information you need. But the bottom line is, guys, when you optimize your metabolism by eating balanced meals more consistently over the course of the day, you're going to balance your hormones. Right? You're going to put your body in a better fat loss situation because your blood sugar is going to stay stable, and you're going to achieve better fat loss because you're going to have your body working together with you. You're going to have your brain working together with you. You're going to have your hormones working together with you instead of having all of these things working against you. So just know that, you know, all the things we're telling you to do on this process and in this program is designed to create permanent change from the inside out. It's not just designed to lose weight. It's not just about weight loss. You can use any gimmick to lose weight, but are you going to sustain it? Right? When your hormones are functioning better, when your metabolism is a raging flame instead of dying ember, guess what? you're going to be burning more calories. You're going to be burning more fat. You're going to be able to maintain the results you get long term. Now, here's the final thing I'll leave you with. It's a little known fact that eating your vegetables first can lead to a significant reduction in your insulin response than eating carbohydrates or even protein first, okay? So when I check my clients' meals, I'm always saying to you, more veggies, please. More veggies, please. Add more veggies to your meals. And the best thing is to eat your veggies first. Have a salad before your meal. There's another study that shows that if you were to have the thing you eat first will be the thing you eat most of. If you eat vegetables first, you'll tend to eat more vegetables. If you eat carbs first, more carbs. Protein first, more protein. You see, all of these things do matter. All right, I hope this has been helpful, and I will catch you next time.